Yeah, the issue of the areas affected by drought, as we said last time, we have opened up the registration so that our clerks and officers are moving towards the areas where these guys are, where they are now settled. And within the constituency, they're allowed to move the BVR kits and register them. And as we speak now, all the commissioners except the chairman are out there in the field. There are some following up these issues to ensure that this process is enforced. I have commissioners now in Isholo, as we speak, trying to ensure everything is working on the ground. So if you look at the statistics, the areas, drought areas are doing well actually, and it's not. Is that the other areas which are not, which are, if you look at the data we've given you, areas like Bungoma, Kericho, Kisii, they are the ones which are registering low turnout. So it's actually more of the reverse. On the issue of the strike in colleges, I understand the lecturers are on strike. Yes, the students are still in college as we speak. But in the unlikely event that the students go home, then our problem is not there anymore. They register at home. I guess that if that happens, then it's we shall save some money sending kids to the colleges. There was a question from
on transfers.
On transfers. You can deal with
that? With respect to transfers of voters, is a complaint that we've received. Most of the time, of course, it comes from the political class themselves, especially aspirants. So what we've done is that we must go out to the field to ascertain the veracity of those claims. So what we are doing now is we are looking at the records in terms of how many transfer applications we've received so far. We got some data, but it's still being verified. So in our next briefing, we'll be able to get at least the week 2, the first 2 weeks transfer levels. In terms of the actual evidence, we actually just have received allegations of massive transfers, and that's why we've sent to the field our investigation officers to be able to confirm that actually that is whether that's actually the case or not. But as Chairman said, it's important for Kenyans to know that if you're going to transfer because you're being influenced, it's not your free choice. You are likely going to disenfranchise yourself, because what we observe is that most of these people do not actually remember where they last registered or where they last transferred. And there are cases where we're being told that people are transferring more than once. So it tells you specifically that the intention is not necessarily good among some of these applicants. And the reason why we centralized this at the constituency level was to actually limit some of this behavior. And when we get the real evidence, we're going to see, we're going to share with the public, and especially towards the end, when it's all closed and we've run the entire data through the database, we can tell how many times someone attempted to transfer. So we're also calling upon the political class to know that it could be an issue that will affect your candidature eventually if it's an electoral offense. So we are paying attention to that, only that we don't have all the data at the moment. We are still verifying the data we'll share with you. Yeah.
There's a pending question about when you're planning to publish the duplicate records for people to come out and...
Yeah. That is going to happen anytime
this week.
From now. Towards the end of this week, the information should be out there. And when we talk about publication, because we are talking about over 70,000 records, so it means we will not publish them in the newspapers because of the volume. However, we're going to make it available on our website in the first instance. Then we're going to disaggregate it to the constituency level and send it to the registration officers in our in the constituencies across the country, because every constituency has reported duplicates. So you'll go to the constituency office, you'll find the list published on the notice board there, and we are inviting Kenyans to go actually confirm whether their details are correctly placed in that particular record or not. So that is going to happen by the end of this week.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. And in case you need the statement by the chairman and the statistics, share your email if you haven't already, and we'll be availing it to you. Thank you very much, and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
Well, that is IEBC Chairperson Wafula Chebukati together with IEBC CEO Ezra Chiloba giving updates on the second week of voter registration exercise, which is expected to end on the 14th of February. The target still remains at 6 million, but so far 1.5 Kenyans have newly registered as voters ahead of the August polls. We'll be focusing on this on our bulletin. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us on a KTN Newsdesk. Our sign language interpreter is William Silla, and I am Akisa Wandera. Good afternoon. All right, and as mentioned, Nicholas Wambua will be joining us later on in the bulletin to give us more updates about the latest figures from the mass voter registration exercise from week 2. The IEBC has just finished giving out the figures. About 1.5 Kenyans have 5 million Kenyans, beg your pardon, have registered as voters, but there are still concerns of low voter turnout to register, of course, in this mass voter registration exercise. But away from that, striking doctors will now know their fate on Friday when the judge presiding over their case gives her ruling on contempt case against their officials in KMPDU. The judge, Justice Helen Wasilwa, further postponed the one-month jail term against the officials after hearing arguments and counter-arguments from both sides in the case.
Well, having voted to hear the application for review, this court has an obligation to also render a judgment or a ruling to the application that is before it. And I will therefore render a ruling on the 3rd of January, that is Friday, 3rd of February. 3rd February, that will be on Friday this week. And in the meantime, I'll still suspend the sentence to that date.
Have a good day.
Meanwhile, lawyers for both the state and the lawyers engaged in serious arguments regarding the lawyers appearing for the KMPDU officials sought to have the one-month jail term reviewed, accusing the government of not being keen to resolve the strike. On the other hand, the lawyers appearing for the government wanted the contempt case dealt with without delay.
Order number 3 reads that this honorable court hereby directs that the dispute be subjected to an inclusive process of negotiating to resolve any outstanding issues arising from the collective bargaining agreement dated 27th June 2016 in such a manner and within such timelines as this honorable court will direct.
Has gone.
That is the order of the 1st December, but issued on the 2nd in the lead. And that is the order that...
That is order number 3.
Yes,
There's order number 1 and 2 also.
Yes, but we are demonstrating our compliance with that particular direction of negotiating with the parties.
Okay.
So, my lady, indeed, the parties did proceed from those minutes to break down or to sort of unpack that CBA in compliance with that order, and proceeded to examine the CBA point by point, and it is captured, or article by article, as it were, and it is captured in those minutes.
The order on 2486 and 2479, which has been consolidated.
24, two files.
The suit filed by Moi Teaching Referral Hospital has an order on the same day. And this is my view, maybe, in an attempt to persuade you to review your order. The court suspended the strike for 30 days but issued yet another direction. That is the portion, my lady, I would plead with you today to issue directions and review your order. This court hereby directs that the dispute be subjected to an inclusive process of negotiation to resolve any outstanding issues within such guidelines as this court may direct. I've looked at all the orders issued subsequently, no such directions I can offer. And let me tell you, because I've been, these officials have entrusted me to be their coffee animal, so I've been doing the shadow diplomacy between them.
Which document are you referring? Is it a judgment or a ruling?
Order.
The order of which date?
1st December. There are two orders.
Okay, you are referring to the order of first.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm simply saying that in my shuttle diplomacy between the officials and the cabinet secretary, the frustration has been that there does not appear to be something that will make the other party or the other side sit on the table and agree. And the reason is that had you issued guidelines and timelines so that the doctors cease their strike and the ministry then completes these negotiations as proposed in this order, maybe we will not be here.
It is our humble submission that the application does not meet the threshold for review set out under Section 16 of the Employment and Labour Relations Act and Rule 33 of the Employment and Labour Relations Rules 2016.
Rule 32?
Rule 33. My lady, the grounds for review are very clear. And my lady, you are not being told to review the orders because the applicants have discovered any new evidence or there is any mistake or error apparent on the record or the judgment requires clarification. My lady, the court orders were very clear and the applicants were found to be in contempt of court. Up to date, they have not found that contempt. And my lady, actually, they do not have a right of audience before this court. My lady, our second ground is that the application cannot reach the threshold for review because, my lady, under Rule 33, you can only review if you have not appealed. And it is very clear. My lady, the applicants have already filed an appeal, being appeal number 9 of 2017.
That's right.
The Council of Governors, evidence on the 12th of January, came before this court because of a document referred to as a CDA. Now that is not the reason why the Council of Governors came. The 1st of December last year, 2016, the Council of Governors approached this court. This is the issue we need to focus on, not side shots. The Council of Governors approached this honorable court because there was an impending strike action. And who was the party? The party intending to strike was a party offering essential services. Essential services as outlined in the Labour Relations Act, Section 81. The service where strike is not something that should just be declared and handled casually by the officials. We have done that this time. It's an essential service well spelled out under Schedule 4. And we were apprehensive, the client was apprehensive of the magnitude of suffering that will occur and that we have seen occurring for 77 days on.
That's what transpired this morning at the Milimani Law Courts, the Labour and Relations Division. Timothy Otieno will be bringing us more details later on in this live newscast on what next for the doctors. But earlier on, let's go back to our top story of the hour. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has released the latest figures of new registered voters. The statistics were released by the chairperson of the commission, Wafula Chebukati, and the CEO of IEBC, Ezra Chiloba. Let's now bring in our reporter, Nicholas Wambua, who's joining us live from the IEBC headquarters in the city center for more updates. A very good afternoon to you, Nicholas. I was almost calling you Timothy. Very good afternoon to you, Nicholas. Vihiga, Nyeri, and Siaya are said to be having very low voter turnout as far as registering is concerned. Tell us more about that.
Thank you very much, Akisa. But still on the same note is that we have got the top 10 counties that are leading in the registration, in the voter registration, come to the second phase of the activity after it started 2 weeks ago, that was since 16th January up to now. But then among the top 10 leading counties, we have got Kajiado, which is leading by 92%. That is in comparison with the target that was set. So Kajiado leads, followed by Mandera, Kirinyaga, Kiambu, Muranga, Narok, Nakuru, Wajir, and Tana River, and Garissa on the 10th position. So Akisa, these are just the numbers, but the IEBC chairman, Wafula Chebukati, says that we still have got more coming, as he announces that we are going to be seeing the prisons being registered as voters this time round, and they're only going to vote for the president but not the governor or the other seats. And on the same note, Akisa, still we have got Wabukati saying that they are still going to roll out the voter registration into the universities to ensure that from 8th up to 14th of February, all the universities are receive BVR kits to make sure that they register the students who are eligible to vote in the 2017 elections. Back to Akisa.
Nicholas, the IEBC chairperson, Wafula Chebukati, cited a few concerns on the low numbers that are being registered. Remember, their target is at 6 million. What are some of the things he attributed to the low numbers that are being witnessed during the registration exercise?
Akisa, one of the issues that Bukati is citing is that there has been a massive voter transfer in most of the areas whereby voters are being lured by candidates in the 2017 general election, and he cites that this is one of the major setbacks into the voter registration, where he's saying that through this, then it is looking like it's something that is forced onto the voters, because when the electorates go back to the counties or wherever they come from to make sure that they bribe the voters or the eligible voters to register as voters, he says this is one of the setbacks that is hindering the IEBC from delivering fair elections. So he says that with this, they're looking into the matter, citing that if you remember, Kisa, weeks ago in the first phase, IEBC announced that 128,000 people were sharing IDs. But then he says that in the register, that is in the cleaning of the register, they are trying to make sure that they clean it. But then up to now, 50,000 out of the 128 have been checked, and they're saying that they are legible or they are not. There are no discrepancies that occurred in the 50,000 people. So he's saying that they're still taking steps to make sure that they do the voter register cleanup before the exercise ends. That is on 14th February.
Nicholas, thank you very much for that update. Our reporter, Nicholas Omboa, is joining us live from the headquarters of the IEBC. They've just finished releasing the latest numbers in the mass voter registration exercise. 1,539,876 new Kenyans have newly registered as voters in the exercise that is targeting 6 million Kenyans. And Nicholas Omboa definitely will be giving us more details in our subsequent bulletins. Remember, Vihiga, Siaya and Nyeri are among the counties that continue to register low numbers in the process. All right, at this point, we'll take a short break. Don't go too far. We still have a lot lined up for you here on KTN Newsdesk.